No king rules forever, my son.
Yo, what's up everybody, it's your boy Zeals back in again with another video. How are you guys doing? So we have upon us the much anticipated Chinese New Year event, and just like how it is celebrated in China, we're going to have these 2 weeks long events. Not only is the summon event for the first time since I've played this game 2 weeks long, but the value packs as well. That is surprising. All right, but they did include more packages for purchase. But yeah, they're all going to last 2 weeks, even the altar event. So if you're new to my channel, what I usually do is I give an initial assessment of the new hero, how she works in PvP as well as PvE as well. We're gonna talk about her role as well as her artifact, her gearing, as well as her stone, and certain comps as well as slot positions. So we're gonna cover everything in this channel over the course of the next few days. We're gonna make a daily video about this as well as the event, but today we're going to dive in step by step with the event itself. So if you open the mystery event, the Chinese mystery event, just like I am, we have the first slot, which is the blessing gift delivery. All right, so it's like a pouch. I don't know what they call it in China, but yeah, even in Korea, we have these red and golden pouches and envelopes to give money to the young ones. So as for this event, what you gotta do is pretty much, if you wanna max it out for the final reward of the 1600 for Aspen, I'm not gonna read or explain to you how it works. I'm just gonna tell you the math results, all right? In order to reach the 1600 goal, right, you can purchase 600 through your gems, and that's going to cost you 10 gems per each, and a total of 6,000 gems. All right, so you also get 140 from the daily, as well as 180 from the gem boxes. So you're going to need about 680 from the campaign. However, we're not factoring in the 20% chance for the double reward, right? So if you do factor that in, the math states that, you know, simple math, addition and subtraction or multiplication division is 413 from the campaign. You're going to need about 413 from the campaign. So we're talking about almost 30 per day, which I've hit today. As you can see, I have 36. I collected the loot twice today. Over the last 16 hours, it's perfectly doable if you are going to get the gems necessary to do this event. So all these events are kind of tied together into one thing. You ready for it, boys? It's called a credit card. It's all tied into money. The more money you spend, the more you'll get in terms of the resources, which we'll talk about very shortly, and it will just make the whole overall experience a lot easier. Hence, it's called pay to win, boys. But if you're free to play, of course, it's gonna be a lot harder unless you have like maybe 20 to 30 to even 40,000 gems saved up for some reason. You're like a mega hoarder, better than me. Anyways, let's go to the next event, which is the Chinese New Year treasure. So during the event, right, you get the knot. I'm not gonna call it the Chinese knot, it's way too long. You get the knot, the fu, all right. What an awesome name. And the rose, all right? You get the roses. You get the knot and the roses also from the campaign as well. However, Fu is a different story. So we'll talk about Fu. So as you're seeing right now, in order to get the top prizes, what you need to know is that to get the Kiss of Ghosts, Aida, as well as her beautiful skin, by the way, you need to get a lot of Fus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. My bad. Anyways, so how much can you get? So let's say you spend everything. You go insane. You steal your girlfriend's credit card, your grandmother or granddog, or I'm sorry, dog's credit card. I don't know what you do to get your money. I'm gonna go out into the streets and beg again. But basically, boys, even if you purchase all of them, you're gonna get 415 from the packs. And then you're going to get 200 if you do 4 rounds of the Heroic Summon event. That's 615, basic math, right, boys? And then you're gonna get 50 from the Gem Box event, all right? So that is going to be enough for you to get the Kiss of Ghosts, Aida, and her skin. Everything's possible. Just gotta get that credit card. Now, is it worth it? That's what I'm here to do today. Is for me personally, right? In my personal opinion, is it worth getting the first or the second Kiss of Ghosts? Now, the second, unless you really want to run a double min or a triple min team, you really want to min max and use a Kiss of Ghosts, then yeah, go for it. If it's your first and you have to dish out 500 bucks, or if it's your second and you have to dish out 500 bucks, then in my personal opinion, it's not worth it, because of course there are other alternative artifacts like Antler's Cane, which does pretty well. If you want to put it side by side with Kiss of Ghosts, Antler's Cane comes a little close. It comes pretty close, but yeah, it's not gonna be Kiss of Ghosts. So Kiss of Ghosts will of course benefit a lot of heroes, but it will get the most bang for its buck for heroes that do not have damage that ignores armor, like Valkyrie or the new hero Aida, which we'll be talking about very soon. So Kiss of Ghosts will benefit heroes that have issues with armor, right? Like Mim's last passive, which works perfectly. Now, if you got enough Aidas, I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if that's possible. Maybe you can make another E3. But anyways, if you feel that you're fine with the Aidas for now, and you want to get that first Kiss of Ghost, and you already completed 4 rounds of Heroic Summons, then you only need to purchase one $100 pack, all right? Now, if you're free to play or monthly card player and you're really not going to spend during this event, and right now it's going to have the most value for your buck in this event, and if you're really adamant about not spending, the Kiss of Ghosts is completely out of your reach, unfortunately, all right? Now, let's look at the Gem Box event. It's pretty basic, right? Like I said, if you're going to spend a lot of money, you're going to have the abundance of gems to purchase all of these. And let's say you're not a spender, then you have to choose between like the Scary Skin or the Sias. They're pretty relatively cheap. I would get them for sure. The orbs are pretty cheap as well. The Super Casino, if you're not trying to get that 1600 to Aspen, which is reachable for monthly card as well as free-to-play player, like I said earlier, then I would most likely, you know, just focus on Sia because she is pretty good in terms of PvE as well as PvP. All right. Now, the last slot, we're talking about the cards. We have the Prosperity card as well as the True Love Treasure. They're both completely worth it, 100%. Now, if you're a die-hard free-to-play, then you're going to miss out on these great deals. Don't worry, we're going to be doing a giveaway very soon as we cover Aida, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, these guys are worth it. I don't want to spend too much time because I really want to focus on Aida today. All right, so in terms of the Heroic Summon events, pretty much self-explanatory, except for the Fu, which I explained. So potentially you can also get 30 scrolls during your loops. All right, so if you do 4 loops, you're gonna get what, 120 back, as well as 15 profit orbs per loop as well. And of course, you're going to get the Aida copy as well as the feather and the knot, but the knot isn't as hard to get. You're not gonna have that much issues getting the knot, right? It's gonna be coming down to the Fu. Now, as for the Alter Exchange, right? If you're a free-to-play player, get that Horus. If you can get that Horus, get it. He's going to serve you well in PvP as well as PvE. I've done tons of videos in the last 2 weeks about Horus. Check that out. He is very good in both aspects. Even with the enable changes and the attack nerf, he is still strong and easier to build compared to Omnivore, which he requires 80 glory relics compared to Horus, right? And for a free-to-play player, your first light or dark will be months away. So grab that Horus if you can. Of course, if you're a spender, you're gonna get both anyways. Does it even matter? All right, so in terms of the hero changes, we have the Faith Blade change. Not much in terms of stats. He did gain some damage, that armor ignoring damage, which basically means armor ignoring damage, and 108% of his attack. It used to be when he did an active against targets with higher HP, he would do extra attack damage, but this is much better. He does more damage, but it didn't really fix his fundamental problem of needing the extra defensives. He needed some kind of defenses, whether it be through healing or more HP or EHP through damage reduction, things like that. He didn't gain any of that. So as for Scary, the developers, I guess they put their tails between the legs, and I guess like the uproar pretty much made him scared, and they didn't want any negative publicity going into this event. So Scary, the only thing that changed with Scary was the 8 additional speed. All right, so in PvE there's no change with the multi-Scary stacks. The developers, or maybe they'll return with the fix later. As for the broken space with the triple Scaries, that'll be coming soon when the monthlies do reset. And finally, Aspen did get a minor buff. All right, I guess, like I said, developers, oh man, they're just not going to nerf anything because they're way too scared right now. So the only way, I think they're approaching this the correct way, but in a very expensive way. They're nerfing heroes not through nerfing the hero individually, but by releasing more powerful heroes, aka a power creep. Now, Aspen got a little buff. His Execute, the Soul Sacrifice, his last passive got a buff. It is 220%. Basically, it just means better Execute, guys, all right? That's it. He's just a little bit better. It really is going to help him in PvE, as well as especially in finishing off the targets in PvP, as well as in the Aspen dungeon where he belongs. All right, cool. We got that out the way. All right, let's get into the damn main event for the night. All right, boy and the ladies, I'm back. I got a cold one with me. All right, so let's get into it, shall we? Yeah, you've been waiting all day for this. I'm going to talk about the skills. I'm not going to read it. I'm not that kind of person, all right? I'm not going to read your stories. So, you know what to do. It's on the screen anyways. We're going to go backwards, okay? So, we're going to talk about her last passive. All right, you see a lot of text, right? It's like enemies attack and then her attack or stuff like that. I'm like, yo, just I'm going to simplify, all right? And we'll talk about it through the video like so. So, basically what this means is that her last passive is going to do damage at the end of the round, or it's not supposed to be end of the round, but after combat or the round finishes, going into the next round, it's going to do damage. And this damage is not affected by cruise or heart watcher or skill damage, things like that. It's just not gonna do jack, as you're seeing now. And additionally, she'll also heal herself for max HP, which of course can be boosted by Belrain's healing effect boost buff from her active. Her meaning Belrain's active. So it will boost the 15% max HP heal. Now, it also reduces the healing effect of the enemy, which is the same icon as Belrain's healing boost, but it's a debuff, so it is red. All right. Alright, next, the second passive, Fury of Justice. Woo, sounds sick. So basically, it's really simple. There's a bunch of text once again. You can read that if you want, but you could just hear what I gotta say. So she's gonna do a basic attack, right? And it's gonna target the enemy with the highest HP, and it's gonna deal a little bit of attack damage, 120% of her attack damage, which can crit and is affected by precision as well. But the most of the damage will come from the 20% of the enemy's max HP. So she's gonna do this max HP damage. And like you're seeing on the screen, these stats do not affect HP related damage. But there's another thing. So after she deals this damage, a basic attack to the highest HP target on the opponent's team, so it's a smart damage. Not only that, it does a ton of damage, and the majority of it ignores armor and damage reduction. Not only that, whatever damage she did, take away 35% of that, and it's gonna heal her instantly. All right, not the end of the round, but instantly. That is crazy. That's baloney. All right, boys. Let's look at the first passive. Pretty much just lots of stats. She gets HP modifier, a multiplier, as well as holy damage, damage reduce, which is great. I mean, I'll take that any day. And speed by 80, she is going to be the fastest hero in the game. This girl with no legs, she's freaking fast, all right? And her active, so it deals 268% of her attack, and it ignores armor. So as it says, it ignores armor. That's great. That's awesome. So deer monster activation or targets with high armor, things like that, like warriors, doesn't matter. Sigmund, I don't care. So she's gonna ignore all that. That's great. This can't crit. It is affected by crit damage, as well as any other attack boosting modifiers like precision, skill damage, Heart Watcher, cruise, debuffs, mark, and weaken, blah, 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 things like that. So she's gonna hit 4 random enemies with that. But not only that, she's gonna hit the entire opponent's team, whoever is alive, all 6. It's not gonna do any damage. It's not gonna trigger any counter attacks because it doesn't do any damage. But what she's gonna do is apply a balance mark for 3 rounds, and it doesn't stack. So meaning if you bring multiple Aidas, like some people are, it's not going to stack, but it will refresh. That's pretty much it. It's gonna last 3 rounds. So if she dies, then it's gonna go away. But what this mark does, guys, basically means that when your opponent's enemies use their active skill, it's going to trigger. It's going to make them explode, literally. It's going to make them explode by doing 25% of their max HP. Okay, so when enemies who have this mark, which is going to be everyone alive in your opponent's team, when they use their active skill, so heroes like Omnivore and Dasmog, or heroes that can chain their actives, they're gonna kill themselves. And I'm going to explain this through the fight and why speed is so important on her as well as attack. Okay, so now that you know her complete toolkit, now that you know every part of what affects her damage, let's go into the fights, boys. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed some of these fights. So basically, I tried all the stones as usual. Of course, I went through the full list, speed stone to HP stone. I tried all the enable talents as well. So basically, the conclusion is this. Aida, when you're attacking or when you're on defense, if you have Aida and your opponent doesn't, it's just like, it's gonna be a landslide pretty much, unless the rest of your team really sucks. Okay, but when you're facing Aida versus Aida, which I was testing later on when other people on my server caught up with their Aida copies, what I noticed was that speed was the king as well as the energy artifact. So you don't have to necessarily go for a speed stone per se, unless your opponents are doing the same, because when Aida applies balance mark, and pretty much it gets the ball rolling. Of course, her active does a lot of damage as well that ignores all armor and all of that good stuff, and lowering down opponents is going to help Aspen fuel his execute. But that's not the thing. The thing about Aida, the beauty about Aida is that the mark, so when your opponents have the mark, when all your opponent heroes are marked with the mark, the balance mark, when they do their active, like I said, when they do their actives, they are killing themselves. They are literally exploding. right? It's just so overpowered. It is not mitigated by damage reduction or mitigated by armor. There's no way to avoid it. So that is why you want to go first. By applying it before opponent's Aida, you are able to counteract the opponent's Aida. Because when it is your opponent Aida's turn to do her active, she'll be hitting herself for 25% of her max HP. That's why you're creating more pressure, and basically whoever kills the Aida first kind of has an upper hand. So pretty much it depends on who you're fighting against. Like on your server, if you're the only one using Aida, or your guildmates are the only ones with an E3 Aida, and you know the rest of your server mates don't have one, then you can just go full glass cannon with attack stone. Or if you're having issues dying, then you can use a little bit more defensive stone and artifact. But in my experience, I went full attack, and because of her healing as well as her built-in damage reduction, I wasn't having much issue. Even omnivores weren't really one-shotting me. I mean, it got her close to like about 50% most of the time. But like I said about her balance mark, when omnivore does do his active, he's pretty much just stabbing himself. So let's say he kills 2 light heroes with this awesome round 1 crit. Okay, so that's cool. He killed 2 bell rings or a Michelle or something. That's gonna not only trigger the balance mark and hit him back for 25% of his max HP, but also it's going to trigger Mim's passive because he just killed 2 heroes. So there is a nice synergy in the GVE team, like the developers said. Aida, Mim, Aspen working well together beautifully in a sync. So as for the artifact, it really depends what you want to do. I really recommend trying the energy artifact like the Demon Bell to create that early pressure, especially if you're fighting against opponent Aidas. If you don't have other Aidas, like I said, you could use a Magic Stone Sword or even Candy Bar artifact for that stun immunity, so she constantly uses her active. So by being in slot 1, not only is she an effective tank because of all the healing she receives, but she's also able to do her actives more frequently, applying that mark, making sure it's always up. Yes, her basic attack also has a smart targeting ability where it targets the hero with the most HP, and that is great. And it heals her back for 35% of the damage she dealt by doing her basic attack. However, her active is just a lot more pressure. That constant pressure, making sure that balance mark does not fall off, is her role, and that balance mark is going to be most of her damage. Alright, that's gonna wrap up the initial impression for Aida. Hope you guys enjoyed it and found it helpful. I'm going to be covering more of each aura in terms of PvP, as well as doing the Aspen Dungeon. She's very good for Aspen Dungeon, as well as the PvE side. Since the monthly quests are resetting, I'll be doing the events and breaking it down more in the upcoming days. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Thank you so much to the 2 newest patrons, Kenshin as well as Imba. Andy, thank you so much for supporting the journey and the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you want to support my journey and help give back to the community with giveaways, make sure to join the exclusive Patreon family. Thumbs up, sub up, share it up, and see you guys very shortly. Peace.